In the early 1870s, Benjamin Dunkerley arrived in Australia intent upon setting up a hat-making factory. Benjamin, a skillful hatter with the ability to invent machinery, set up his business. And in 1904, Stephen Keir joined the company. Stephen married Ada Dunkerley, and after Benjamin's death in 1918, moved the business on to greater things and branded the hats Akubra.
Hi, I'm Stephen Keir, the Managing Director of Akubra Hats, which is now in its fourth generation of family ownership. We moved this factory from Sydney to Kempsey in 1974. Our factory, which you will see shortly, is situated on 5 acres of land and employs about 115 people locally. Quality is what our reputation is based on and has been for the last 80 years. We make a great variety of hats for all occasions, for all people, and most importantly, they give great protection from the harmful sun's rays. Come along with us now and see how this great Australian product is manufactured.
Akubra process about 70,000 wild rabbit skins per week, turning them into fur felt. The skins are firstly cleaned and softened, and then the unwanted hair tip is cut from the top of the fur by the shearing machine. Carroting then takes place, which raises the barbs and assists in better felting. At this time, the fur is cut from the pelt and separated. Different qualities are then carefully blended. The fur is placed in hoppers and fed through the blowing machine, where it is mixed properly and unnecessary hair and dirt removed. After traveling through this 8-section machine, you will see the soft, light, downy fur similar to an endless sheet of grey absorbent cotton. We now move on to forming, the first actual process in the manufacturing of a hat. The amount of fur for each hat is weighed, then sucked onto a large perforated revolving cone, the fibres being interwoven in all directions. Hot water is sprayed over the entire surface, which knits the fibres into a flimsy layer of felt. At this stage, it is approximately 3 times the height of a finished hat, and must be handled with the utmost care. To settle the fur felt and shrink the cone to strengthen the fabric, the hats are wrapped in a cloth and placed between rollers, regularly changing their position to give equal pressure in both directions. Quality is of paramount importance to Akubra, and throughout manufacturing, quality inspections take place. The multi-roller machines continue the felting process. The hat passes through these vibrating rollers along with hot water. To achieve even felting, the hat is continually turned and all the time is reducing in size. Apron A machine has a similar function and brings the hat down to its final size before dyeing. In all felting processes, it is essential to have hot water, pressure and friction. It has taken centuries to perfect these techniques, which result in the strongest known fabric to man, more impervious to water and lightest in relation to its tensile strength. The hat is now about 1/3 of its starting size and is ready for dyeing. This takes approximately 1.5 hours and is done in large vats which hold 200 hats. Due to turbulence in the vat, it is necessary to put the hat through Apron B machine, where the final shrinking takes place. Each process is carefully controlled so that the hat passes to the next phase of manufacturing at the correct size. Now it's on to proofing. This is where a shellac mixture of varying strengths for different hats is impregnated. It helps the crown to retain its shape and gives the brim greater durability. With the tipping and brimming process, the fur felt cone is immersed in very hot water to become pliable. It is then mechanically eased into a rounder contour and pulled down over a block to form the crown. The hat is really now starting to take shape. After the crown is made, a brim is then formed by using hot water, steam, pressure, and again hand stretching. The initial blocking stage is where a wooden block is inserted into the roughly formed crown, and mechanical fingers grip the edge of the brim to form the hat size and brim width. The wet processes of manufacturing are now over, and the hats are placed in stoves at a gentle temperature and dried off overnight. They are then transferred to the beating machine, which makes them soft and pliable by taking away the natural hardness that has occurred during drying. Pouncing is the beginning of the finishing stages. The hat has its fluffy appearance evenly cut down with sandpaper on a fast wheel, and following this, the surplus dust is brushed out. The hat is quality checked, and the exact size is chalk marked on the inside of the crown. It is then steamed onto a block of the correct size and shape to meet the order. The hats are made ready for ironing. The ironing helps to give them a good surface in preparation for the final sanding, and also importantly, it sets the shellac that was impregnated into the hat earlier, enabling the brim to maintain its shape. Final finishing takes place on sanders that are accurately calibrated for time, weight and paper change. To ensure the best finish, a very fine sandpaper is used on these machines. The hand-controlled rounding process is where the excess brim is trimmed from the hat. About 80% of Akubra hats are now accurately pre-shaped by placing them in a heated aluminium dish and leaving them to set. The leather band is cut to size and the name of the hat and other details are stamped on with gold foil. This sweatband with bow and size tag is then carefully machine sewn into the crown. Some hats also have a ribbon binding stitched to the outside of the brim. Flanging is the final shaping of the brim using a wet cloth, pressure and steam, and in fact one of the last manufacturing processes. This gives the hat its individual shape. From a wide selection of quality bands, one is chosen and sewn onto the crown. Some Akubra hats are lined with silk, which is fitted and glued into place. All have the historic Akubra crest, which guarantees a superior quality product. The care and dedication of the men and women at Akubra, their attention to the smallest detail, the fine styling and finish, are what makes an Akubra. A useful care card is also inserted, giving easy directions on how to look after your hat. The final touch is one of the distinctive Akubra feathers. The hat is now ready for packing, which has to be done with the utmost care to protect this valuable Australian product.
Currently over 100 styles and colours and now 12 standard sizes, how do you go about selecting the most appropriate Akubra for yourself? There are three major steps which need to be addressed. Firstly, purpose, then style and colour, and fit. The hat must fulfil your intended purpose. The retailer will guide you into a style and colour that you are most comfortable with. When the hat has been properly fitted, it should be able to be worn casually without giving you a headache, yet be able to stay on in a strong wind. Basically summarised as bare leather, bare forehead from the front and back. The hat should now grip securely, like so. A smaller and tighter fit doesn't always mean that the hat will stay on better. A perfect fit will. If you find one size is too tight and the other is too loose, stick with a larger fit and tighten it by packing underneath the sweatband using a folded piece of tissue. Simply grab hold of the tissue, fold it into a flat roll of 3, like so. Simply lift the leather sweatband and place the tissue underneath. You'll find that the tissue will absorb the perspiration, will also reduce the size, ensuring a better fit. The internal leather sweatband is more likely to shrink than to stretch due to dehydration. Never ever leave the hat on the back shelf of the car or in intense sunlight. If you find a hat that happens to be the perfect fit, this shrinkage or dehydration can be prevented by the simple application of a hide food to the untanned side of the leather sweatband. These hats are certainly no strangers to punishment. However, to keep your Akubra in shape, it's best to give it a brush from time to time in an anti-clockwise direction with a soft bristled brush over a shot of steam. This will prevent the dust from wearing into the fur felt and also will assist in lifting the nap of the fur back to its original direction. Your Akubra is also a great rain hat. However, don't force dry it. Allow it to dry in its own time. Alternatively, you can absorb 80% of the moisture out of your hat by wiping it down in an anti-clockwise direction with a damp cloth or a chamois. To prevent brim distortion when storing your Akubra, rest the hat on its crown, or sit it on a simple cardboard cone like so. When available, display it on a hat stand or a hat bracket. Correcting brim and crown distortions is done by using steam and light hands. To evenly roll a brim down, simply heat along here, allow the steam to go into the felt, turn flat on the table and gently bounce the brim up. This will give you an evenly dropped brim. Light and dry soiling, like dust and dirt, can be removed from the hat by simple brushing and a light rub down with a fine emery paper in an anti-clockwise direction. Any oil-based grime can be removed by using dry cleaning fluid on a sponge and buffed across the offending mark in an anti-clockwise direction once again. Any serious marks should be cleaned by a hat cleaning specialist. Creased ribbons are fixed by simply showing them a touch of steam and a light rub. Feathers are available on most Akubras and should be positioned on the left side of the hat. On purchase of your new hat, the retailer should ensure that an Akubra care card is included, briefly outlining some of the points just mentioned. Most importantly, enjoy wearing your Australian icon.
In its fourth generation of family ownership, Akubra hats are today appreciated worldwide. The word Akubra has become the generic term for hat. Always at the forefront, Akubra adorns the heads of state, presidents, royalty, film and sporting personalities. The company has been associated with the Olympic movement since 1956 and is proudly set to continue this tradition into the next millennium. Akubra, a true and remarkable Australian icon.